right, fun fact time. So you're going to see a question, you have a few choices, and then we'll go over the correct answer. This will be really fun if you play with a friend or a group of friends and see how many you can get correct. Here we go. All right, fun fact. Place a marker on the correct fact. Which one of these do you think is true? Is it number 1, the contiguous United States has a much larger area than Australia? Is it number 2, Australia has a much larger area than the contiguous United States? Or 3, the contiguous United States and Australia have fairly similar areas? So we're talking about the actual area. Which one looks like it's going to be closer to being true? 1, 2, or 3? All right. So you guys have chosen which one you think is correct. We're going to have a look at the correct answer, which is 3. The contiguous United States and Australia have fairly similar areas. The United States is 3.1 million square miles, whereas Australia is 2.97 million square miles. So I actually am originally from Australia. I was born in Brisbane, but of course I sound American. I grew up in the United States since the age of 12, so no one really knows this about me. And if you were to take Australia and just kind of overlay it over the United States, you can see here how it is so similar in area. Most people that I run into think that Australia is much, much smaller than the United States, or at least the mainland, but that's not true at all. It's actually quite similar in terms of area. Okay, next fun fact, we have fact about monkeys. Which type of monkey has a diet primarily made of grass? Is it number 1, number 2, and this time number 2 is over here, number 1, number 2, or number 3? Which type of monkey has a diet primarily made of grass? And for this one, I actually learned this one from Daily Dose, if I remember correctly. The gelada, it's only found in the Ethiopian highlands. Geladas are the only primates that are primarily graminivores and grazers. Grass blades make up 90% of their diet. They eat both the blades and the seeds of the grasses. However, when both blades and seeds are available, geladas prefer the seeds. Pretty interesting. Okay, here we go on the next fun fact. Okay, which was the last letter added to the English alphabet? And this is in terms of chronological order. So what is the latest of these letters that was added to the English alphabet? J, M, Q, U, or X? Take just a minute. J, M, Q, U, or X? All right. Hopefully you have your answer in your head. The correct answer is J. J began as a typographical embellishment for the letter I. It is no coincidence that I and J stand side by side. They actually started out as the same character. With the introduction of lowercase letters into the Roman numeric system, J was commonly used to denote the conclusion of a series of ones, as in XIIJ. So J is at the very end there, and that shows that you're at the end of writing out your letters. So this denotes the number 13. Both I and J were used interchangeably by scribes to express the sound of both the vowel and the consonant. It wasn't until 1524 when Gian Giorgio Trissino, an Italian Renaissance grammarian known as the father of the letter J, made a clear distinction between the two sounds. So J was originally I. There we go. So 1524. Oh, goodness, that is 500 years ago to this year. So 500 years ago was the latest addition to the English alphabet, and that happened 500 years ago. No changes. Very interesting. Okay, next fun fact. Which mountain summit is the highest point on Earth? Is it 1, Mount Everest, 2, and I am probably not going to pronounce this correctly at all, Mount Huascarán, or number 3, Mount Chimborazo? So I'll read the question one more time. Which mountain summit is the highest point on Earth? So be careful about how you're reading that. Which mountain summit is the highest point on Earth? All right. So the correct answer is actually number 3. Mount Chimborazo, it is all about the bulge. So we're not talking about necessarily what is the tallest mountain in the world, which one reaches the highest point. So Mount Chimborazo is in Ecuador. It's along the Earth's equator, and there's a bulge that's created from the spinning of the Earth as it pushes Mount Chimborazo up higher in the atmosphere than Mount Everest. So you can see right here, it's actually not as tall as Mount Everest, but its highest point is higher than Mount Everest. So here's another visualization. So if we were to take Mount Chimborazo and Mount Everest and put them at the same sea level, you can see that Mount Everest is 2,580 meters taller than Mount Chimborazo. However, if we compare from the surface of the Earth to the highest point in the atmosphere, Mount Chimborazo, because of that bulge, is 1,811 meters higher up into the atmosphere. All right, one more representation here. So here is Mount Everest. Here is where Mount Chimborazo is located, and it's being pushed out higher because of that bulge. And just for comparison, here's Mauna Kea, which is the tallest mountain from the base to the peak. So we're looking at the 10,210 meters from base to peak, whereas Mount Everest, we're looking at above sea level. So Mauna Kea is much lower on the sea level, with including the sea level portion. But if you include it, it's actually taller than Mount Everest. All right, moving on to the next fun fact. Which food can be used in making dynamite? Is it number 1, peanuts, number 2, star anise, or number 3, coconuts? Take a minute. Think about which one is the correct answer. I'll give you just a couple more seconds. So when I would play this with my students, almost everyone chose number 2. The correct answer is actually number 1, peanuts. Peanuts are one of the ingredients in dynamite. Peanut oil can be processed to produce glycerol, which can be used to make nitroglycerin, an explosive liquid used in dynamite. However, there are other processes that can be used to make dynamite without using peanuts at all, but it could potentially be one of the ingredients. And this is a fun side fact. In 2007, the Center for Science and Extreme Conditions at Edinburgh University, turned peanut butter into diamonds. Scientists use a technique that harnesses pressures higher than those found at the center of the earth to convert the carbon within peanut butter by squeezing it between the tips of two diamonds. I think that would be a really fun thing to own. Just go around with your diamond. Yeah, here's my peanut diamond. It's pretty neat. All right, next fun fact. All of the bacteria in our body collectively weighs about 1/2 pound, 7 pounds, or 4 pounds. Take a guess. So if you took all of the bacteria in our body and you were able to weigh it, would it come out to 1/2 pound, 7 pounds, or 4 pounds? The correct answer is about 4. You carry around enough bacteria to fill a large soup can. That's 3 to 5 pounds of bacteria, says Lita Proctor, the program coordinator of the National Institutes of Health's Human Microbiome Project, which studies the communities of bacteria living on and in us. The bacteria cells in our body outnumber human cells 10 to 1, she says, but because they are much smaller than human cells, they account for only about 1 to 2% of our body mass, though they do make up about half of your body's waste. Fun. All right, this one is going to seem really simple. However, you would be shocked at how many get this wrong, and I'm probably giving away the answer just by saying that in and of itself. Okay, number 1 is that the sun revolves around the earth. So here's the earth, the center, and the sun, including the stars, revolves around the earth. So here's the sun, here are the planets, Mercury, Venus, the sun, then here are the other planets. So this is just a representation, and then of course the other one is the earth revolves around the sun being in the center, and then the planets and the distant stars are revolving around the sun. Okay, really quick, I won't spend too much time on this one, but the correct answer is, of course, the earth revolves around the sun. However, one of my students actually, I remember a long time ago, he came up to the front of the class and he put it on the overhead projector. That's how long ago it was. But I was shocked. I did not realize this. So I learned this from a student. Did you know a 2012 study released in 2014 revealed approximately 1 in 4 Americans, think about what percentage that is, 1 in 4 Americans thinks the sun revolves around the earth. Yep. I remember at the time it was 20%. So when I found this statistic, 25% is obviously higher. So that's a little bit scary, a little bit shocking. In 1992, more than 350 years after the Roman Catholic Church condemned Galileo, Pope John Paul II formally acknowledged the error concerning the Italian astronomer and physicist for proving the Earth moves around the sun. All right, and we're going to do just one more. We're going to do... Let's see, do we have enough time for this one? Okay, we'll do it. What is the only major United States city founded by a woman? Is it 1, Miami, 2, Los Angeles, 3, Phoenix? Okay. Take a second to think about it. The correct answer is number 1, Miami, founded by Julia DeForest Tuttle. If you get time, I would look her up. It was very, very interesting learning all about her. And this information comes from Wikipedia, but she first visited the Biscayne Bay region of southern Florida in 1875. I probably pronounced that incorrectly. But she visited with her husband, visiting a 40-acre orange grove her father had purchased. She loved the experience but returned to Cleveland, Ohio with her family. A little over 10 years later, in 1886, her husband died, and in 1890, her father died and left her his land in Florida. She sold her home in Cleveland, Ohio, and relocated to Biscayne Bay. Tuttle used the money from her parents' estate to purchase the James Egan grant of 640 acres, where the city of Miami is now located on the north side of the river. So I remember reading from her that the reason that she was able to turn it into a major city had everything to do with the train systems, and actually I have it down here, transportation necessary to attract development. So she made an agreement to exchange some of her land for getting the railroad station to essentially come through the area. So she split the remainder of her 640 acres in alternating sections for hotel and railroad station so that it could grow. Very, very interesting story. All right. That is part 1. More fun facts coming soon.